Sure, look, I've got my Make Hibs Great Again hat.
I could see the hat, I could see the colour, and I just knew.
Make Hibs Great Again.
Welcome along to the first edition of the Salt and Sauce podcast, talking about Edinburgh football. Obviously, there's a lot of coverage for two particular teams in Scotland. But Hearts and Hibs, massive clubs, massive rivalry. And my friend Robert and myself are Hearts and Hibs fans, respectively. I want to give them their fair share of the coverage. Robert, this was your idea.
Yeah, it was. It was just born out of the idea of like we're both obviously massive football fans, and I think we're both sick of the coverage that Rangers and Celtic get in particular. And I
Yeah,
think being both Edinburgh boys, we're well aware that it's all about Hibs and Hearts in Edinburgh, and we've obviously got a lot to talk about. I'm a big Hibs fan. You're a lot big Hearts fan,
yeah.
and I think it'll be interesting to kind of concentrate on Edinburgh football, um,
I
because
suppose the
we don't really care about what goes on in Glasgow, to be honest. So
not
it's all
massive
it's all,
unless
it's all about the Hibs and unfortunately the Hearts as well.
unless we're playing them. I suppose the other caveat people should know is that we're best friends from
Yeah,
childhood,
yeah,
and despite the football rivalry,
yeah.
have been close friends ever since. And actually, I would say we've never really had a football and fallout either. A couple of moments we've maybe taken the banter a little bit too far, and had the fishing rod out a couple of times.
Oh yeah, the rod's always out. But I think to be honest, in general, it's the way a rivalry should be. It's
Yeah,
friendly, um, but it's also on Derby Day we don't really talk.
no.
Maybe a few days later we'll let the dust settle, then have a chat about it. But it's a friendly rivalry. It's no religion or anything in it. It's just you want to beat Hibs and we want to beat Hearts, so that's what it is.
What I quite like as well is that I think we're both quite willing to take our medicine every so often. If Hibs have a shocker, if Hearts have a shocker, we'll take it on the chin.
Exactly. I think we both kind of call it down the line, and like we're both biased as anything, but we're also both happy to say, you know, if Hibs have a slink in the derby and Hearts deserve to win, and then vice versa, I think
Yeah.
we're not too dyed in the wool that we can't kind of see the wood from the trees.
And we've both had our fair share of stinkers over the years as well. So there we go.
Yes, certainly.
So a few different sections to what we'll run through today. The first one is looking back at the most recent game, and obviously in some weeks that might be a couple of games, but Scottish Cup last weekend. We've then got a player from each side that will. So I'll pick a Hearts player, you pick a Hibs player. I'll talk about why I've picked them, and then it'd be great to hear the Hibs perspective of them. I realise that's slightly harder when it's other teams' players. A couple of questions we'll both answer as the weeks go on, and who knows if anyone listens or watches, they can maybe send questions in, and then we'll look ahead to the games that are coming up as well. The first one, I don't know if you want to start, Robert, but the first one is looking back at last weekend at the game, Scottish Cup.
Yeah. So to be honest, I don't think the first half was great, and I think obviously we expected to win and win well. We're on a really good run right now, and I actually expected things to be probably a bit easier, considering it was against Brecon and the goals we've been scoring. We've been looking really threatening.
Like
Whilst
Clydebank,
also looking at
Clydebank, unless you've converted.
yeah, sorry, Clydebank. Yeah, Clydebank.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome to join.
Lucky this is a test run. Um, but yeah, no, I only caught bits of the game. There was no kind of coverage of it on the telly, so I only really saw the highlights. But I
Mm.
listened to it on the radio, and it sounded like we were very close to getting booed at half time. I think the fans weren't too happy, and then second half, we got the job done. It was good to see the likes of Molotnikov get his first goal from the academy. Boyle, I think, just again he's shown his worth to Hibs because he got, I think, two goals, and I think he got an assist as well. So he's continued his red hot form as well. So look, the most important thing is we've had banana skins before, and it was just about getting in the next round. So
So
um, that was the main
performance
thing. It was just
maybe,
job done. Really, it's just you don't really care. It's just right, move on.
yeah. But performance is maybe a sort of a 5 or 6 out of 10, given the opposition.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I had a mate. here, and I said to him, put -3 on Hibs. Um, and I think Hibs missed three sitters in the last
Yeah.
couple of minutes, so his bet was gone. But look, 3-0, job done.
Uh, Into
Not
the
the
next.
best, not the worst. Move on. What about
So,
yourself?
similar story, I guess, for Hearts in terms of non-league opposition. Ended up a three-goal margin. You guys were at home though. Obviously, we were away from home. Um, it's funny. We went 1-0 down, which makes it sound like that was a bit of a disaster. But I don't know if you've seen the goal that the Brecon guy scored, Scott Bright.
Oh
Young,
yeah, oh, it was an absolute
it was unbelievable. And
like the goals they used to score on Pro Ev.
yeah, well, the theory I've got is anyone that's played football has caught a ball like that before,
Yeah,
but normally they do it down the park or at five-a-side or something like that, and it's
exactly.
everyone goes, Good strike, mate." So to do it as a young guy against Hearts in the Scottish
Oh,
Cup,
it's outrageous.
fair play
It
to
was
him.
absolutely, and against Craig Gordon as well.
I know, and obviously as a Hearts fan, I'll bang the drum for Craig Gordon being the best Scottish keeper of all time. Um, it was just a ridiculous strike, but it makes it sound going 1-0 down to non-league opposition sounds terrible. But when it's a goal like that, it's not really about the pattern of play. We could have played better to begin with,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't say we were toiling. The pitch was a definite leveler. I think even for they're in the Highland League, I've not seen many of those pitches, but I've seen pitches in the Lowland League, and I
yeah,
think even by those standards, it was quite a poor pitch.
yeah,
But four goals, new striker getting two of them. Jan Danda, who's been not quite what we wanted so far this season,
yeah.
scoring an absolute peach as well. Um, I'm happy with the result. So it's probably similar to what you're saying. The only thing I would say is I think our performance was better than average, though. Okay,
I mean, I had a look at it, and I thought it'd be a tough game because, like that, I knew the pitch, the conditions wouldn't be great, and I knew they'd fancy it as well. The run Hearts are on, get the fans, on the backs of the players, going down the early goal, and I was a bit like, well, it's going to be interesting now, see what happens. But
yeah.
look, to be fair, Hearts kind of rolled up the sleeves and just again just got the job done, and not an easy ground. So it was, I think, could turn out to be quite a big win for Critchley.
No, absolutely. And I mean, Critch I think he's overall doing a great job. It's something like the league table since he took over, we're fourth or fifth, which obviously we're aiming for third, but it's certainly better than the 11th place that we're currently in. So
Yeah,
we have had a wee upturn in form, but you're right, it was a banana skin there waiting to be slipped on, and we didn't. So
I think the difficulty for Critchley as well is he's come in when you're in desperate need of points. So any slip up is big
I know. And
because of
the nature of some of the slip ups as well. I don't think we were great against Hibs, but to lose a derby at home is the worst of the worst.
yeah,
We lost 1-0 away to Kilmarnock, who had 10 men for most of the game, which
yeah,
we didn't. We could still be playing now. We wouldn't have scored.
yeah. It was one of
Two
those
late
days.
goals, two late goals with Ross County, missed a late
Yeah,
penalty. The
that
average.
was a shocker. I think in some ways that Ross County that too that like because I was watching it, I was like, oh, job done for Hearts. Like that's a big result. And one of the guys from one of the Hibs chats I'm in was like Hearts, and I was like, yeah, they won. I was
Yeah,
like,
just thinking it was
they
game over.
actually conceded two goals in like a minute. I was like, what?
Well, it was the same day you guys beat Kilmarnock 1-0 at Easter Road, and for people, I run pub quizzes, and I happened to be in a pub quiz on Easter Roads
Yeah,
that afternoon. And so I was checking my phone, looking at the scores, and when we went 2-0 up, and then as time was going by, I just thought, brilliant. And just at the end of my quiz, the Hibs fans started coming in, and they were all obviously jolly, and I thought, they're a wee bit too jolly given that they got a 1-0 at home to
yeah.
Kilmarnock. And apparently when Ross County equalised, that was your biggest cheer of the day, so fair enough.
Oh, well, there you go. I
Um,
couldn't I couldn't quite believe it, but there you go.
You mentioned earlier about getting on the players' backs, which is our next section, talking about players.
Yeah,
So I'll jump in first on this one because typical football fan, I thought I'd start off with a moan about a player.
okay,
Uh, I've picked George Grant.
okay.
Now, George Grant signed him a few 2.5 years ago now, I guess. And I was quite excited because I was told, this attacking midfielder that arrives in the box late, and I thought
Mm, mm,
Hartley, etc., would be brilliant. And I've spent the whole time he's been here trying to work out what is he? Because
mm,
I think if you take all of his individual attributes, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them, the technical ones, there's a good player there.
Yeah.
He can hit a ball reasonably nicely. There's a reason he's on penalties. We'll come to the Aberdeen one in a minute. Passing and controlling it. He can do all of these things in isolation.
Mm.
But what I've realized is when it comes to heart, temperament, like bravery, things like that, he's, from what I've seen, got none of it. And I wrote down a few things. The reason I thought of it was when we played Brecon. I can't remember what the score was at the time. It was maybe 1-0, maybe we'd gone 2-1 up. And he pulled out a 50-50. Now, it was a sort of one. I get why some players don't go into tackles because they think I'm
Mm.
on booking, or this is actually a 60-40 or whatever.
Yeah.
This was one, if your mate pulled out of this at five-a-sides, you'd go Raj, because you shouldn't be pulling out of it. It was
Yeah. Yeah.
real amateur stuff. And he did. He got, the fans were on him, as he should be, and you could hear it on BBC Scotland. But yeah, add on to that, missing the penalty last minute via Aberdeen. Now it was a great save, but you should be scoring penalties.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
the last game at Pittodrie this season, we were in a rotten run, but I think we went 1-0 up and 2-1 up, and then he got sent off either at 2-1 or 2-2. I can't remember, but either way, they went on to win 3-2. So
Yeah.
totally cost us the game. And it was at that stage, if we'd started getting points on the board then, I think we'd be in the top six now rather
Yeah.
than. And I still think we'll get top six, but anyway. Anyway, so got sent off there. He got sent off against FC Zurich in our European qualifier once, and again, went on to lose that 1-0 and get knocked
Mm.
out. And we'd been really dominating them and looked like we were going to qualify.
Yeah.
Just frustrating. There could be something there, but he just lacks heart. I don't know.
The guy,
I'm wondering if, as a Hibs fan, is he the sort of guy you even notice?
I've not even noticed him, to be honest. He's
Yeah.
not a player. Like, because guys like Devlin and things, like, you notice them because they make themselves known, like they get
Oh
stuck in
yeah.
and put a foot in, or he's actually quite a good player, Devlin, actually. But he'll get his foot on the ball, he'll make things tick. The
Mm.
likes of George Grant, like, I know very little about.
He sums it up, and like you say with Devlin, Grant will be is a better footballer on the
Yeah,
ball,
technically.
but Devlin, and I'm sure even, well, I would imagine as a Hibs fan, there's probably even a bit of a grudge and respect to Devlin in terms of effort levels
Yeah,
and commitment,
yeah, yeah,
in terms of what he does. But Grant flies under the radar.
yeah. No, he's not a guy I noticed in any games against Hibs. I've not seen him do anything that I was like, oh, that's a good player.
Yeah, and that probably sums that up for me and doubles down on my opinion on
Like
him.
George Grant. Right, I've got one.
Go on then.
Lewis Miller. We've
Right.
had we've obviously had a chat about him before now. Like, I speak to some Hibs fans and like they're like they love him, they think he's class, and like he's gonna get us a big huge like figure when he leaves, and like I'm no expert, but he shouldn't be anywhere near Hibs team. He can't control the ball. His first touch is a tackle. He's like, even the way he stands, you know how you put your body side on sometimes to receive the ball. He just stands straight like that, and
Yeah.
like the ball just hits off his foot and just goes like miles away. So it either goes into touch or he gives it away. His positioning's terrible. The one thing he's got, and this is why he's good in Scottish football, is he's an athlete. He's
Absolutely.
big, he's strong, he's quick. Probably the fittest guy in the team, and probably can bench more than most people. But in terms of like his actual footballing IQ and like his decision making, he's so rash.
Mm.
If you look at a lot of the goals we conceded in that bad run we had, well, more than bad, it was shocking run. It was him that was at fault. It was a right back area. It was him running away, leaving his man, not tracking his man, giving the ball away, um, uh, under no pressure at all. And like even under this good run, you see him in the team, and you're just waiting on him to make a mistake.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he is my uh,
Funny that we both started with a moan, rather than
yeah,
a rather than I love this player.
he's my moan. But like Gray seems to love him, so I don't think he's going anywhere.
And it's funny because Gray was a right back himself, and
Yeah,
you think would, but yeah, he
and
had a
Gray,
oh,
Gray's positioning and everything was spot on.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
He very rarely you could look at a game and go, Gray's at fault for that. Like he was steady without being, amazing, but
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
was steady.
yeah.
But
Absolutely.
Miller is he's a bomb scare.
The thing with Miller, yeah, like you say, there's little things like, fair enough if you don't have the best touch, but you at least know to, as you say, take the ball on the half turn, or and open your body up ready to go.
He
but
just gets it and like runs. He just like,
what
runs
is
with the ball, and usually like out of play or like into another player. And then everyone's like, "Oh, well done, Lewis." And I'm like, "No, just lost us the ball when there was like an easy pass in the middle." So we were a lot better when he was out the team and Cadden was at right back
yeah.
because he just,
Both the Caddens are good players.
and again, his decision making a lot of the time. That's what kind of differentiates him from the likes of Cadden. Cadden makes kind of the right choices when he's on the ball, whereas Miller more often than not will just give it away.
Is Miller back in the team now then?
He's kind of in and out.
Yeah,
He's in
and
and out. Now we've had a few injuries and stuff, and Gray's brought him
right.
back, but um, he's not a guy that, if we do have ambitions of improving, that we need to be offloading guys like that.
Not even as a squad player. I think
No,
what was the line we said the other week was he would be equally good at any sport that he tried.
yeah,
Just because he's quick and strong and whatever
like
else.
tennis and table tennis and
Yeah,
squash.
badminton, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, probably a good all-round athlete, but in,
Yeah,
in in terms of football, he's absolutely humpty.
yeah, fair enough. Um, we moved on to a couple of questions, and obviously we'd love down the line at some point to have people send them in. The questions that I thought we'd go for this week would be your favorite player growing up. We're both the same age, we're 36.
Okay.
Sort of, I guess for us, growing up would be late 90s, early 90s in
Yeah.
particular. Um, and then favorite game as well
Okay.
from back in the day.
Yeah.
Um, See if you can guess my favorite player growing up.
Paul Hartley,
No, a bit earlier than that. From thinking proper.
John Robertson.
Yeah, of course, it has to be Robbo, especially because, and you'll remember from when, although we were at different schools, we would be at the same football training. Robert, at
Yeah.
the my school's training, we were both strikers, and it was actually a bit of a rivalry when we first met.
Yeah.
Uh, the strikers, but being a striker, being a Hearts fan, Robbo coming towards the end of his career at this point, but being our all-time record goal scorer,
Yeah.
I have to say he scored a million goals against the Hibs as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an easy decision to pick Robbo for that one.
Yeah. For for me, it's difficult because it's kind of in two parts. Like if we're going, it's hard to pinpoint one all-time one. Now, if I had to hang my hat on it, it would probably be Latipi. Now, he wasn't at Hibs for long,
Yeah,
but he was just the man was class, and
yeah,
like I just remember watching him play football, and like he just made it look so easy. His touch, the way he passed, the way he like controlled the ball, he was just a step ahead of everyone on the pitch, and he was just such a classy midfielder.
It's,
He was entertaining.
there's good stories about him off the pitch as well.
I've heard a few of them like partying night before the cup final and
Yeah,
Macleod
yeah.
and everything. Like,
He also dropped a C bomb on off the ball with the radio show with Tam County Stuart Cosgrove. Um, he didn't know what it meant. English second language for him, and he
we just
dropped
said it.
it on off the ball.
Oof.
But the other line that he had was, I think John Hughes was the manager, and he said that all the boys were doing pre-season running, and a lot of people was just strolling about claiming to be injured.
Yeah,
Everyone
and
was
he
like,
had 20. People say 20 a day. Some people say 40
I know, 100 a day by the end of the story.
arms and legs. But like, I don't think he was the best trainer. But my word, like when he
But
was on the
what
field,
this is where the guys were shouting, "Aye, right, Russell, just you stroll about." And he went, "Yeah, you guys carry the piano, I'll play it."
yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
"Yeah, but it's right, when you've got a player like that, that's what you do."
And I think that's the problem with kind of modern football. Like those players are kind of dying out a bit.
I know, and that's why you look at like someone like Grealish who went out and had a mad one after Man City won the Champions League or
Yeah,
whenever it was, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, that's crazy!" And he just had a night out and like enjoyed himself, and I thought, good on you. Whereas you used to have players doing that every weekend, going out.
yeah, exactly.
Favorite game growing up? Have you got one? I've decided to make the caveat here: you're not allowed to pick a derby because it could lead
Okay.
to losing some viewers if we get any.
Yeah,
Have you got one in mind, or do you want me to go first?
my one's obviously obvious. If it's a non-derby one, it's the Scottish Cup win.
Oh yeah, no, fair enough. I was thinking further back, but yeah, that's an obvious one.
If we're going further back,
No,
and
no,
and
you can have that. My mind went to further back, but actually, as a Hibs fan, that's a no-brainer.
yeah, but as if we're not going to like cup, it's hard because the cup wins and some of the cup games, like semi-final wins against Rangers and stuff,
Mm.
like they're the ones you kind of remember. If
Yeah,
if it was a non kind of cup win, like where we won a trophy, um, the semi-final v Falkirk, although we were absolutely stinking, we were 3-0 down.
3-0 down. That's right. I remember that.
Like we were 3-0 down, and like I was there. I was getting it like so tight from the uni lads because I'd actually missed a game to go to that one. It was like, oh, I'm going to the semi final. I'm not like playing against like some pub amateur team.
Yeah,
Like I'm going to the semi final, and like obviously the texts were coming in when each goal, and like I couldn't actually believe what I was watching. Like
especially
we're
because you're going
three
there
0
quite
down,
a bit.
and I'm not one to leave games early, but like it ran through my head, and the stands just emptied,
Right.
and then like second half we're like a different team then, and
What
then
year was that? What year was that against Falkirk?
I want to say 20,
Was that
2013.
right? Okay, so and I say this just to give it context. There'd been a bit of Hampden heartache before, and you're thinking, here we go
Yeah, I
again.
mean I don't know what you're talking about, but
Talking
um
about when Celtic beat you in, yeah.
yeah, that's it. Um, but we're 3-0 down at halftime, and I just remember thinking, can't get much worse than this. And then, we just came out like a different team, and obviously we get the goal in extra time, the Griffiths screamer to make
Yeah.
it 4-3. Although, like, it wasn't, we are obviously expecting to beat Falkirk, but the way it was done, that game kind of sticks in the memory a bit. And obviously, wins against Rangers as well.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
We're going way back. The win against Rangers when we were in the championship, 2
Oh,
0
oh, yeah.
the Louis Stevenson goal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I was thinking of the Ivan Sproul hat trick at
Ivan
Ibrox.
Sproul hat trick. I wasn't there for that,
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
but
Fair enough.
a game I was actually at, that that was a special one as well in the championship when we beat 2-0.
Oh, right, okay, so if you had to pick between that and the Falkirk one, what are you going for?
Probably the Rangers win because
It, it's
it
about
was
the
just
match
so
feelings,
sweet.
isn't it?
It was so sweet. What
Yeah,
about
fair
yourself?
enough. Yeah, it's difficult because, as you say, for Hibs, straight away you think of when have we beat Hearts, and similarly, I think, well, when have we beat Hibs? So the two that actually jumped out at me going a bit further back, the first one I thought of that I'm not going to go for was we beat Aberdeen 1-0 at Tynecastle on a Wednesday night, Paul Hartley penalty, and that secured us Champions League football to get into the qualifiers. It was the first year under Romanov when things were looking great, and Skatchel and Jankowskis and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I always believed that other football fans, other teams' fans would have been like, well, fair play to Hearts, well done, for actually doing that. Maybe even some Hibs fans thought, good on you. I don't know, especially at the
Been
expense
over that.
of Rangers. So, but the one I'm actually going to go for, and I'm just thinking of for like mad celebrations. Partly the age I was at as well. This was about 2002, 2003. We beat Celtic 2-1 at Tynecastle. I think we went I think they went 1-0 up. I think Larson scored actually. They should have had Hartson sent off. He cracked Webster with an elbow, but the ref booked him
Never.
for some reason. And I know. The ref booked him, which is annoying because it meant that they couldn't take action after because the
Yeah.
ref had dealt with it at the time. But anyway, we then equalised, I think maybe Phil Stamp. But the reason I can't really remember the rest of it is because in the last minute, Austin McCann, this guy that came through the academy and ended up like East Fife and or however many other teams, scored an absolute screamer from 30 odd yards right into the top bin in the 90th minute. Um, what I really remember about that is we had Austin McCann was playing left back and left wing was Jean-Louis Valois, who you probably remember. He was a good
Yeah.
player, really good
Yeah.
player, great left foot, but they both had black hair. So when whoever it was broke forward, played it out wide. I thought, oh, brilliant, it's Valois, go on, son. And you could hear the whole crowd almost think the same thing. And then they all realised at the same time, oh, no, it's Austin McCann. And then he just scores an absolute raker. It came out of nowhere. And then it's one of those ones you end up 5 rows down, 7 rows along because everyone's
Yeah.
just it's so wild. It's still on YouTube, the goal. I'm going to go for that one. And it kind of secured us European football as well under Levine.
Yeah. That's a solid enough one.
So the final thing is the match this weekend. Obviously, we'll give a bit of a preview But we can also preview each other's games. Obviously, I don't know as much about Hibs and vice versa, but we'll go for that and then get a score prediction. So, Robert, you guys are Ross County.
Ross County away.
Well, just beware of injury time up there.
Injury time and where we've had a shocking record. We've got a shocking record in the Highlands against both the teams when Cali Thistle were there and Ross County. We don't seem to do well there.
Don't travel
Uh,
well.
so if there was ever a time where the run could end, I'm looking at that game and I'm thinking that's a really tough one. The conditions are going to be bad. Ross County, they always get what's the tall boy up front for them?
White, Jordan White.
Oh, he always scores against us, and
Andy, a bit about him.
it's just like a long throw in the box, and he just like always gets a goal against us. So he'll be fancying it. And
Starting goal.
as I said, I'm not expecting the pitch to be great. I
Would
think
you
the
take a point?
conditions will be poor.
Would you take a
Um,
point now?
would I take a point? No.
Yeah, it's funny that question because although it's been a tough ground, the run you guys are on,
Yeah,
there's definitely a chance you could get 3 points, and so it's kind of
yeah.
a risk maybe.
No, I'd want to see us get 3 points there. Because I don't think County are a great side. But as you say, there's equalisers, the weather, the pitch, and just they're a horrible big physical lump of a team, and they're the teams that we struggle against. So if I don't know, maybe a point on like the run we've been on wouldn't be the worst,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
there's no way there's no way I'd be like, right, I'm taking it, because I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I think we can win. I think we can squeeze it out.
But if you're sitting here in Saturday night and you have drawn, you're not going to be gutted.
No, I won't be like devastated, but I will be a bit like, you know, we
It,
should
it,
be, we should be beating teams like Ross County.
it depends on the nature of the point as well. If it's a last minute equaliser for either team, then it can feel like a win. It can feel like a loss.
Exactly. But in general, we need to be looking to win that, and that's not saying we've any given right to do it, but we should be.
Score prediction?
I think it's going to be a very scrappy 1-0 win for Hibs.
Fair dues, fair dues. Any idea on goal scorer? You just whoever.
Boyle,
Boyle, yeah, he's on good form. He's on good form.
yeah, a Boyle penalty or something horrible like
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it'll be a 70th minute penalty or
Yeah,
something.
something like that, and just a shocking game. It's not going to be a good game at all if it's even on.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Who knows? We're at
what
home to
about yourself?
Kilmarnock. Yeah, home to Kilmarnock, who I never know what to make of them this season. I really rate McInnes as a manager. I think he's great. I know that we've spoken about that before.
Yeah,
They're quite handy. Though we played when was it? We played them at Tynecastle. I can't remember how long ago it was, but they absolutely bullied us. The two strikers up front, Vassell and Watkins, just absolutely bullied us.
yeah,
And then he had a wee bit about them out wide as well with Armstrong, who we're actually trying to sign. Um, so I'd like to think though that the form we're coming in, and we've got some new players coming in. We've got Kabangu in up front, who is going to give Wilson, who has done well, but he's only 17, and obviously Shanklin has been off it this season.
yeah,
It gives us the goals that I think has been the biggest thing actually missing from most of our play.
yeah. He's
Uh,
quite a cool customer in front of goal.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, from what we've seen so far, obviously one of the games was against Brecon, so hard to
Yeah,
say. The guy, he seems like a striker who likes scoring goals, and that always fits in well. Um, but also we've got a couple of other new signings that have come in. I don't know if they'll be available for tomorrow or what. But regardless, I think we've got enough about us to do kind of what we did to Dundee, get a couple of first half goals and see out a 2-0 victory from there. That'd
yeah.
be my prediction. 2-0 to the Jambos.
But, if I'm looking at giving my prediction for that Hearts game, I don't know. I think McInnes. I think McInnes has Hearts' number. I think he's going to come there, horrible tactics, get the likes of Vassell to just hold the ball up, make a nuisance of himself. I can see them causing a lot of problems there. I
One
I'm
of
going
them.
for a draw.
Well, the reason I'm a bit more confident is I forget which one. It might have actually been Vassell. One of them picked up quite a bad knock recently, so might be out, and that's
Right.
that's that's a big boost for us.
It
Given
is because the way they play, they rely so much on him.
absolutely, and
And he's not a great player. He's a bit of a huddy.
you wouldn't like to mark him though.
No, no, he'd be horrible. Be
Yeah,
horrible to mark.
Cool. So we're saying, well, this is bold. We're saying 2 wins and 2 clean sheets for Hibs and Hearts this weekend.
Well, I'm saying for Hearts, I think that'll be a draw. What
Oh
do you
yeah,
think?
okay.
How do you think Hibs will do? And
Yeah, fair enough. I'll fight fire with fire. Then I'll say Ross County 1-0 with a 70th minute penalty.
oh, that's horrible. That'll ruin my
I think
weekend.
I agree with you. I don't think there's more than one goal in that game.
No,
That's
it's a horrible game. I can
that's why
just
I'm
tell.
saying that rather than a draw.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very forgetful game. But in the end, look, a draw wouldn't be the worst result, but we need to be trying to win because, like Hearts, we've lost so much ground. The league's so tight, and we need to be on this run we've got coming up. We need to be picking up points, and we need to be cementing top six.
I mean, I think both clubs, and I absolutely include Hearts in this, even though we're in 11th. It's not outrageous to still think you can finish third.
No, absolutely not.
You guys obviously much closer, but I think we're 11 points behind Dundee United. We've
Yeah,
also beaten Dundee United away from home recently.
yeah.
Should have beaten Aberdeen away from home recently, and we're definitely both teams picking up. I'd be amazed if they're not both top six. Um,
I think both teams will be.
Pushing for Europe potentially.
And I was saying this as well, and a couple of the lads were laughing at me, and I said, third isn't out of bounds at all. I said, Dundee United, they're not going to keep this up. If they do, look, fair play.
Yeah, of course.
Hold my
Yeah,
hands up, but they're not. Like,
Aberdeen
they're
are
just not. Look what Aberdeen. I mean,
Aberdeen are
Aberdeen
people.
were on that hot streak, and we've nearly caught them.
I know, it is crazy. No, it's definitely doable. But I guess next Friday or next Thursday, next Friday, we'll catch up again and see how our predictions went and see how we're looking for the rest of the season.
Right, that's brilliant then.
Cheers, Robert. Always good.
Right, thanks very much.
Catch you next week.
See you next week.